I'm curious to see how much the basic lands play a role here. They feel significant.
Wasteland takes down the Tundra. Dan gonna play another Tundra. Just throws in play.
With whatever the opposite of a flourish is.
That's what. Wasteland is 2 for 2. Throw that one into the play too.
Now, Dan does have 4 Tundras in the deck. I was about to ask, is that it?
Yep. There's a third Wasteland on a Tundra. This is really something.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of Legacy over the past 2 years. I've not seen this. Here's a Brainstorm.
It's actually surprising Dan was able to weather this storm, you know? Not a lot of lands in this deck. It looks like he kept a pretty land-heavy hand. His lands 4 and 5 in hand.
I mean, he could have drawn a fetch land. There are a lot of those.
Oh, sure.
So I'm a little surprised to see the triple Wasteland draw actually be like as good as it's being right now. There goes Tundra. Dan. Aha, look at that. A fetch land. Now, all kidding aside, I think he probably has to search for Volcanic now. Because if his 4 Tundra dies, he's just cold from white spells.
Well, it would. Levi would have to have his 4th Wasteland here.
Absolutely. That's all it takes. We'll see.
How's the first name pronounced? And here's a Delver, first play of the game of substance.
Now the big question now is, does Levi actually have, you know, a land? I mean, in theory, he's drawn 3 with Wasteland, so I actually think it's, you know, real for him not to have one. Looks like he has a Scalding Tarn, though. Okay, so he's in business.
So Levi tried to end this one quickly,
Yep.
but Dan Jordan going to make him fight fair.
Let's see what the first play is going to be here. Bolt, Delver, who knows? Yep, there's a Lightning Bolt. This might be worth dazing, assuming that Jordan has one.
Sure.
Yeah, real.
I mean, Dan has a Wasteland here, so dazing is pretty attractive, you know?
We could have a real interesting battle.
Give Levi a taste of his own medicine.
Yeah. Gonna attempt to daze. See if Levi has a daze of his own. Perhaps a force of will. How much are we gonna fight over this thing? There's a daze.
Looks like Dan's looking at a force here.
This could get really interesting. Jeez.
Interesting is a word for it.
Is he serious? Man, he's seriously considered forcing here, or at least bluffing the heck out of a force. Yeah, he's gonna let Delver go. Dan will draw. He has to be, I mean, I agree with you, of course. There's only one more Wasteland left in Levi's deck. He has to be a little bit scared, right, by playing a Tundra. If that gets Wastelanded, white cards are off.
I think it's going to be one of those things where Dan's not going to actively play around it, but all other things being equal, he's going to try to not put that 4th Tundra into play.
Levi's hand right now from Gataxian Probe. There's a Batter Skull, a True Random Assist, a Spell Pierce, a Ponder, a Delver, and that Volcanic Island that we know about.
So Levi is himself quite susceptible to a Wasteland here.
There's the Tundra yet again. Flooded Strand, excuse me, the draw here for Levi. It's a Ponder. There's a counter spell here from Jordan. Maybe yes, maybe no. He does know his opponent's hand outside of that Flooded Strand.
This might be another spot where Dan's considering something like dazing or piercing with the intent of wastelanding this Volcanic.
Mm-hmm. What's the mana denial game? Jordan giving this a lot of thought. You can definitely tell us. We've watched Dan play most of the day. Been very sure of his decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Very unsure about this one. But he will let the Ponder resolve. So Stoneforge Mystic, another copy of Flooded Strand, and a mystery card.
I had to imagine we're keeping this one. Levi did draw land this turn, so he has a second mana. Stoneforge Mystic, really powerful, of course, given the way this game's kind of being paced and shaping up to be. Would almost want to keep the land and the Stoneforge Mystic. Those are the cards I would want the most out of this.
I think in that order, too.
Yeah.
Land is super important, of course, and Stoneforge is quite good. Jordan draws a card here. May have some interest in wastelanding. And he says, let's get a Stoneforge Mystic going. So after all that nonsense with wastelands, we're actually playing some Magic again.
It's kind of like we had the second turn of the game on the seventh turn of the game. Some wastelands thrown in just to make sure, you know, no one can really do anything, but now we have a game going. And I wonder, you know, if Dan elected not to daze that ponder a couple turns ago, I wonder if it was with the intent of trying to set up this turn, where he dazes either Levi's response to Stoneforge Mystic, some sort of removal spell if he's stuck on one land, or a Stoneforge Mystic of his own.
Yeah, I think he's picking his spot with the daze. It would be convenient to counter a ponder, you know, earlier, or some sort of manipulation spell, or even a Delver, but Stoneforge Mystic might just be the card he cares about the most. Same can be said for Trinity Nemesis, which he knows Levi has. And there's swords. That'll blow up the plan.
Now, is this worth fighting over? Dan's definitely been trying to set this whole thing up. So we can fight over this, or just let this happen, untap, wasteland him, and hope he kind of draws better over the intervening turns.
Well, you can see the Force One in his hand. Mm-hmm. Gonna cast that, removing a Brainstorm. Whew. That's aggressive. There's a Pierce. I have a feeling we're gonna see a Daze now, assuming he has one.
Yeah, this feels like one of those things where it's all been set up based on the Gitaxian Probe.
Mm-hmm.
Dan knows essentially what was going on in Levi's hand, and this is where he wants to be.
Gonna play the Tundra, pass the turn. Levi draws. It's a Bolt, but he doesn't have a third land.
Yeah, can't get that Trinity Nemesis into play.
That would be the big one right now.
And not only does he not have the land, but he may not have the land in the future because Dan has that wasteland in play.
Mm-hmm.
And once he puts Batterskull into play, that's all he needs to do to win the game. So that wasteland's going to be fired off pronto, I would guess.
And you have to imagine that Wasteland's going after Tundra to cut off the Out of Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah.
A lot of those use this game, that's for sure. Well, there's one more left over here. And now Teitz has a real problem on his hands, I'd say. 2 mana. Looks like it may be a Stoneforge here.
This is the problem. Anything he can do with his turn here is not that effective. If he uses a removal spell in the Stoneforge Mystic, that's really of no help. Dan still gets to put his Batterskull to play. He casts a Stoneforge Mystic. Maybe that's effective, maybe not, but it's predicated on him being able to find white mana after he presumably gets wastelanded here.
Come on in, Batterskull. Jordan quickly untapping. Gonna take a look at the cards, see how many are in the hand, as he knows most of the contents. So he wants to trek forward. Again, you have to imagine the wasteland's gonna be used here. Gonna start by attacking here for 4. Jordan's going up to 20. Teitz gonna go down to 14. Scalding Tarn. If this is Trinity, and this gets really ugly. All right, just another Mystic.
This is all just to play around days.
Yep.
I'm sure after the fact here, he's going to go ahead and still use Wasteland.
There's the GT. There's the Wasteland. Get the Tundra out of here. Now Teitz has to peel. Spell Pierce is what he found.
He has to peel soon too, because once he gets behind the 8-ball with that Jitte, even finding his own Batter Skull is not going to offer much help. And Dan also has the draw here of Wasteland,
You don't say.
which is quite potent in this spot.
Yeah. It is a pretty good Magic card.
Mm-hmm.
Teitz stuck on one land. Picked up a Spell Pierce for the turn. There's a Delver's Secrets in his hand. Also has a Lightning Bolt.
That's why I'm amused when people complain about True Name Nemesis. It's like, this is a format where the best decks in the format just spend the whole game strip mining each other. Want to talk about non-interactive? You know?
Here's a Misty.
I can understand it's ugly sometimes, you know. I'm not saying that's not a thing, but some ugly stuff can go on in this format. It's a lot of fun. There is some ugly stuff that can happen. True Name Nemesis is among many offenders.
No. Sacrifice the Misty. Well, there are no more tundras to get, so this will be a volcanic island. As Jordan's left with no choice. I hope his plan wasn't to find a tundra. Yeah, there's a Volk. Take a look at the graveyard. Yeah, they're all over there. Remember the first couple turns of the game?
Right. Remember your first 3 lands getting strip mined?
Yep. Those suckers are long gone. See what Jordan wants to do here now. Looks like he's going to start with an attack. Could even get it with Stoneforges if he wanted to, but
Well, it's a free block, and
oh, quick block.
I guess he's looking to bolt the Germ token?
That's a plan. I don't hate it.
But now, I don't quite understand what the plan is here, because he needs that Stoneforge Mystic to be able to cheat the Batter Skull and play to really get anything going.
Sure.
Dan has the option of just resetting. He can do multiple things here. He can either take the Batter Skull back and reset it through the Stoneforge Mystic, or he can just put Jitte into play, put it on the Stoneforge Mystic, and start attacking. So, I think Levi, he's behind the gun no matter what he does here. I think he would have been better served just taking that shot. I think you've got to keep Stoneforge Mystic here to have any shot.
He did take a look at the 4th Ponder with the Wasteland, but I think that ship, excuse me, he took a look at the 4th Wasteland with the Ponder, but that ship has sailed.
Yeah, maybe if, you know, Dan could only do something by putting the Batter Skull back, or, you know, whatever the case may be, but with Stoneforge Mystic plus Umezawa's Jitte, he's got another angle attack that only requires 2 mana.
Mystery card coming. So Ponder does resolve. Yep, and there comes the Jitte for Jordan through the Stoneforge. It's time to equip. Move on in. 2 damage. Pretty light, all things considered, but 2 charge counters on the Jitte, the most important part. And Jordan will pass it back over to Teitz. Delver's Secrets was the draw, but they're not lands, and these cards are going to do very little. Just going to pass the turn back over to Jordan.
This is a common feature of this sort of mirror match. The game ends, one person is either rendered with 0 or close to 0 permanents, or someone has True Name Nemesis loaded with a million things.
Yep. Those are typically the 2 ways that it goes.
Both of these decks are so good about trading off all the other resources that that's what it kind of comes down to. Someone's incapacitated, or someone plays the threat that can't really be answered.
Contaxian Probe will show the hand. A couple of Delver's Secrets, a Lightning Bolt, Batter Skull, Umezawa's Jitte, True Name Nemesis, and I believe a Spell Pierce is the card in the middle. But most of those cards right now are useless.
No help. And I think even if we're the spot where Levi can even stack his deck, I don't think that's enough.
Yeah. That's how you know things are bad.
Yeah.
Gonna pump once.
He knows about the bolt now, so he's only going to be pumping the one time here.
Yeah. And to be fair, he could pump again because it would become a 3-4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the second pump is safe if that's the move that he wants to make. But that'll be an attack here for 4 damage total. 2-turn clock, not going to change much. going to bolt the other Stone Forge here. Little Teitz. See if Jordan has some sort of response to this, if he even cares.
I think he's trying to figure out what the implications are of running lands here. What kind of curve can Levi generate here if he draws nothing but lands for the rest of the game?
The draw was Daze. This is a Delver. Gonna kill that right away. Untap. Draw a card. In we go. Pump and pump. Attack there for 5. That's a bolt. That'll move us to a second game. Dan Jordan is up 1 here over Levi Teitz. Blue-Red Delver Mirror goes to the #1 overall seed.
Surprisingly, was able to survive 3 consecutive wastelands on his 3 first plays of the game, which were tundras, no fetch lands and no diversification. So at risk there at various points about getting cut off from white mana for the remainder of the game, or just missing land drops. But Dan Jordan kept a land-heavy draw, and that worked out very well for him, given that Levi had 3 wastelands and was very aggressive about using them.
Back to the booth here very quickly before we do analyze the sideboards. It is, of course, trivia time. Patrick's got the rules. I've got our full year question.
For 1 full year, tweet your answer at SCG Live and hashtag SCG Premium. Of the correct responses will be selected at random for, again, a full year. It's about accuracy, not speed, so don't worry about getting your answer in first, just accurately. And keep in mind that this contest is run at the sole discretion of StarCityGames.com, and that Twitch TV is in no way affiliated with giveaways on its stream.
Pretty simple. Where are we in 2 weeks? I'll be doing coverage with Oslo Davic and Andrew Shrout. This is the free giveaway this time.
This is the freebie.
Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. But in 2 weeks, the Open Series is headed to a certain city where they do crab cakes and football. So, if you can name it, hashtag the answer, hashtag SCG Premium, at SCG Live. And we'll announce the word at the conclusion of this Blue-Red Delver Mirror.
Setting of The Wire, one of my favorite television shows of all time.
I've seen 1 episode of that show. I should probably watch that sometime.
It is well above average.
I've heard it's fairly good.
Except the last season. The last season is unwatchable. But
unwatchable, huh?
it is. Anyone who's out there knows what I'm talking about.
Okay, fair enough.
Imagine that you had this show that was rooted in like the gritty realness of urban life,
okay,
and then the last season is this totally non-believable fantasy land nonsense.
I don't want to imagine that.
Right,
that sounds
it's
stupid.
bad. It's not good. But anyhow, the location of this is where The Wire was filmed and based out of, and it's a fun city.
It's a great city.
Yeah,
good baseball team.
Fun baseball team.
Pretty good football team.
Generally speaking, competitive football team.
Stole from my city, but pretty good football team.
You got your team back.
Oh, we sure did. And
are you happier?
We are dusted people up in Cleveland.
Maybe you should have just never asked for your team back. Maybe things would have been.
Life would be a little bit better.
Probably.
Yep. But hey, at least we have Josh Gordon.
Well,
Well, we have him.
Yeah,
right now. We have him.
He's yours to do with whatever you wish.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We'll take a look at the sideboards here. The sideboards are actually pretty different, honestly. Teitz is going to be on the play here for game number 2. So, Graph Trigger's Cage, 2 Needle, 3 Rest in Peace, 2 Flusterstorm, a Pyroblast, a Red Blast, a Spell Pierce, a Wear and Tear, 2 Vanilla Clicks, and a Supreme Verdict. What do you like?
I like the Wear Tear. Of course, it's an equipment-oriented matchup. I think the Red Blasts are reasonable, as are the Flusterstorms. So I'm not sure he wants to go that far down. It feels like the game is mostly about the creatures and the equipment and less about the spells, but still a cheap, efficient counterspell. The card I really like in the sideboard is Vendilion Click. It's a way of breaking up equipment that Dan finds with Stoneforge Mystic. It's a threat that can get through even if True Name Nemesis is locking up the ground. Information's valuable, all good stuff. So I think that's the highest impact card he has in the sideboard.
Other side, we've got a Sword, Feast, and Famine, 2 Lophomancers, 4 Meddling Mages, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Flusterstorm, a Pyroblast, a Red Blast of Swords, and a Wear and Tear.
Kind of the same deal here. The extra sword will come in, the Wear Tear as well. I think that I like Sword of Feast and Famine in the matchup, even though the colors don't overlap, just because the game goes on for so long, generally speaking, that your extra Stoneforge Mystics having extra targets to find is valuable. I think Grim Lavamancer is good in the matchup too. You need more threats. And if it goes unanswered, it can randomly tag Delver of Secrets and Stoneforge Mystic as well, plus the Vendilion Clicks that Levi is most likely bringing in.
We'll see if we have repeat performance of the last game, which was a bunch of wastelands to begin.
It happens quite a bit. Not uncommon in this. Decks don't have a lot of mana. And the game's all about getting to True Name Nemesis, which is 3 mana, so there's a lot of incentives to just snap off Wastelands to people.
Yeah, keep you away from that stuff. No, thank you. Gerard Fabiano, our first champion. We're going to find out who our second one here is in just a moment. Dan Jordan has been impressive every time we watched him. His only loss was against Charlie Mitchell playing Burn, the youngster, the 13-year-old. But Jordan was able to overcome him in the semis.
A great run for Charlie.
Yep.
The highlight of the weekend, how loaded the standard top 8 and especially the top 4 was, and then Charlie doing his thing.
Arguably our best standard top 4 ever.
I would have to look. I mean, I'd have to dig around. They've had some good ones, but I would be surprised if any could touch that one.
Reed Duke, Jared Betcher, Mike Segrist, Gerard Fabiano, our top 4 to lead things off this morning. Sometimes the job is really easy.
It is. And Reed and Gerard's match in the finals was very entertaining as well.
Yes, it was.
Reed could kind of only laugh and nod his head as Gerard was putting the boots to him.
It was, truth be told, that was one of the most one-sided beatings I've ever seen in the finals.
Yeah, it was ugly.
No mulligans even really involved or anything to make it, kind of a lame match. It was just Gerard beating Reed. And Reed obviously took it in stride, as he's known to do. Got back out there, got to battle with the Miracles deck.
Especially because game 2 was Ashiok.
Yeah.
Which is a card you would not, it doesn't see a lot playing standard. It's one of those planeswalkers where there was a lot of buzz when it came out and then never really lived up to the hype, although it's starting to a little bit. So
I think Ashiok's busted once there's a rotation. It was so good in block.
Yeah, but that game, and it's not very good in the mono blue versus Esper matchup, one would assume.
Or is it?
But that game, it was the perfect card.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just got to say, well, tip your hat to the better man.
The Nightmare Weaver gets it done. Take it down. Fabiano, with that win, catapults himself into our Season 3 race for the Players' Championship. It'll be fun to watch. Kansas City is the one tournament I'm really interested in. Who's going to buy the flight? Who's going to go? Someone's going to go and take advantage of the fact that no one's there.
Yeah.
I can guarantee it.
There's points to be had.
Yeah, I can guarantee someone is going to go, hoping that no one else goes. Because the season is short. There are points to be had, and there's a Players' Championship invite on the line.
I mean, if you lock up a spot in the Players' Championship, that's worth over $3,000, just dividing, 50 by 16. And there's the upside of winning the whole thing, going away with 20 grand. So that's got to cover your travel expenses.
There's a little bit of upside. Just a touch. Well, both players are going to take a look at their openers. We'll be underway here in just a moment. See if Teitz and Jordan are happy with their hands. Teitz is happy with his. We're underway. Just a Tundra. Dan with a Delta and a Probe. Yeah. Teitz will show the hand here of Wear and Tear, Wasteland, Tundra, True Name Vendilion, Pierce.
This hand is really susceptible to Wasteland. There's nothing going on here except some 3 mana spells. No cantrips to smooth it out. Not even any red mana. And it wouldn't surprise me if Dan does find Wasteland if he starts using them very aggressively. There's also no cover against creature. I mean, this could be turn 1 Delver and just take it home.
Yep. Well, that's a good draw.
Or you just draw Stoneforge Mystic, I suppose.
That was easy. Breezy, beautiful.
But that said, Wasteland's still very good against this draw, assuming he can kill Stoneforge Mystic.
I mean, there's no guarantee that obviously Stoneforge is going to resolve. Chances of it living are very low. There's Swords and Bolt. So it's definitely a good draw because it gives Teitz something to do. And we'll see how Jordan wants to respond here.
Taking a look at his notes here real quick that you just saw with the Probe.
He knows every card.
Like he also has the Wear Tear in his hand too, which is
Pretty good.
of course very good. Feels like the most important card in the mirror match because there's no redundancy to the equipment. Everyone has 1 Jitte, 1 Batter Skull. Maybe they have a sword, maybe not. So when you do kill the equipment, it's not like you have to worry about that coming back. It's a phase of the game that is over.
And no Academy runs in any of these decks.
Right.
Probably for the best. I might be going a little too deep.
These decks can barely cast their spells as it stands.
Time to sacrifice the Delta. And we're going to bolt that thing. And there is your Volcanic. Jordan 17, Teitz at 20. Stoneforge Mystic and Lightning Bolt will go to the bin.
And now we'll see if Dan is able to take advantage of the type of hand that Levi has. Start going to work on those lands.
Yep. See if he has some sort of Delver or anything like that as well. Turn 2 should be interesting here from Jordan. I think he does have a Wasteland in his hand, so we'll find out what happens here in just a moment. And looks like I picked up a copy of Tundra. There's a Delta. Just pass the turn back over to Teitz. Swords of Plowshares was the draw here. We know that Levy's third land is a Wasteland, so he can start, raining 3 mana spells.
Yeah, he can test the waters with Vendilion Click, for example, see what's going on. And if the coast is clear, drop True Name Nemesis the following turn.
It's completely reasonable play in the draw step. Here we go. There is V-Click. Wonder if this maybe draws out a counterspell. Just let this resolve. Who knows what?
This is one of the better cards in the matchup, I feel like, and the information that Dan's protecting feels really valuable to me as well. There's a lot of ways for Levi to sculpt his turns, and knowing about Dan's hand is extremely valuable.
And Dan doesn't want him to know. He's going to float a mana cast Daze. So no Vendilion Click for you, sir.
And that's a great trade for Dan, too. These dazes, they diminish in value, of course, as the game proceeds. Getting to cash one in for a click is excellent.
Volcanic Eye on the draw there for Teitz. So he can cast a True Name through a Daze now.
And he has Pierce backup in case there's a Pyroblast.
Yep. Now if there's a Force Will, things are different. Now, of course, I think Jordan knows about the Pierce, so I believe.
Yeah, that was seen on the Gitaxian probe.
Here's this. There's that. You see Dan just knocking cards off his list. That'll resolve. That'll be dazed. Bye-bye True Name.
Dan is getting great value here. The Pyroblasts, they're a little shaky, not always great in the matchup, but they're so good against True Name Nemesis. Getting to cash one in there is awesome. He's gotten to trade Daze for Vendilion Click. He's definitely winning the text box war,
Well, this is the 5th land. Floodstrand. Going to search up a Volcanic Island. We might see a Hardcast Batterskull here, perhaps. But I believe Dan has a Wear and Tear in his hand.
You almost feel like Levi can't survive if this gets hit with Daze or Spell Pierce.
Yeah, what else has he got to draw?
It's just the third bad, text box to text box trade.
Yeah. Is he going to cast it? And he won't.
I think he thought better of it. I mean, sacking the fetch land preemptively there, I think he may have thought better of what he was about to do.
Daze the draw. Not the right time for that. Needed that a couple turns ago to be able to force through one of the spells. Just going to pass back. Here's a Brainstorm. Jordan adding 3 cards.
And the way the game is shaping up, Levi has no answer to a True Name Nemesis from Dan's side.
This is true.
So this game could be over fairly quickly. Dan has protection from Batterskull with a Wear Tear in his hand. With that Gitaxian probe, Dan was just able to engineer so many good trades.
Pretty telling here that Dan did cast a Brainstorm in a turn. Untapped quickly, drew his card. Didn't sacrifice a Delta. Upkeep, he's going to fire this off. Starting to go after some lands here now. Teitz draws a Wasteland. Oh, this could get interesting. Repeat performance of game 1. 5. Now he changes his mind. Batter skull. Huh.
That seemed like a good window to just
Fire off Wastelands,
Yeah.
right?
dancing here saying go. It just seems unlikely this works. If you had force of will backup, some protection of substance, that would be one thing.
Yep. Well, there's your 4/4. And there's a Wear Comet-Tear. That's gone. Now this is the concern now, is that there's a True Nemesis gone. There's a Batter Skull gone. There's a Vanillion Click gone. Sure, there are Delvers left. Sure, there are Stoneforge Mystic left, and they can search for a GT. And I imagine there's one more True Name. There are not a lot of threats left.
And how many cards of significance has Dan lost thus far?
Mm-hmm.
And where are the equivalent cards in his graveyard? It's all reactive. This game drags on. Dan's just going to have much better draw steps pound for pound than Levi does. And the days that Dan was able to cash in here are just such huge victories, you know?
Brainstorm time. 1, 2, and 3. Now for Dan, I think he's got to work his way towards just getting a True Name into play. I think that's the big strategy. 2 cards will go back. There's a Misty. This is an attempt at a Stoneforge.
What do you think the odds are here that Dan has cut Delver of Secrets?
I think relatively high.
I'm starting to get that vibe, you know? And I can understand the logic. It kind of just dies. There's almost no chance it does anything the way the games play out.
You know your opponent's 75 cards.
Yeah.
And you know that, okay, this is not a matchup realistically where I can tempo you out or, any of that stuff. That's just not going to happen. Play turn 1 Delver, protect it, get in for a bunch of damage, just finish you with Bolt, like we would see from Rogue Delver. That's not how the matchup goes.
It's possible Dan's just trying to invalidate the spot removal in the opposing deck.
Yep.
Don't bring in Grimlove-Mancer, none of that stuff. Cut the Delvers. And so you have Stoneforge Mystic. Don't really care if that dies. You have True Name Nemesis, can't die. And then the rest of your deck is counterspells and removal spells.
If that's the plan, I think it's a very good one.
Well, especially, Levy's drawn a lot of Swords to Plowshares.
Jordan will take a draw here.
Again, I'm surprised Levy has not used the Wastelands here. It would be one. There's no Batter Skull left in his deck. There's nothing expensive left to cast.
Ponder. Take a look at the top 3. Jordan will keep him. There's a probe. Time to see what you're working with. Information sure is nice, that's for sure. Dan used that first set of information quite well. The second set, I imagine, he'll do the same with. Days, Wear and Tear, Swords, Plowshares, and a Tundra.
No answer to True Name Nemesis. As Dan has it, the coast is clear. Can't quite put the equipment into play.
But that's okay. Looks like it's just going to be another Stoneforge. Time to go searching.
Almost feels like, removing the Delver of Secrets from the decks the deck that's called Delver. A little sacrilegious, but I suspect Dan has just removed it entirely.
Stoneforge going to bite the dust again here. I'd be surprised if Dan wants to fight over this.
Again, it's, he's reaching the territory where he can just start casting his equipment. The Wear Tear is obnoxious, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just put the Batter Skull into play, but I think the way he's trying to play the matchup, he has no interest in fighting these kind of fights. He knows his draw steps are pound for pound much better than the ones in Levy's deck.
Well, Levy just found a True Name Nemesis, so game on.
Yeah, this could cheat the whole thing.
Yep.
I mean, this is the card. He has 3 copies in his list. One's already gone. But this is his best shot of just cheating all of the card advantage and virtual card advantage that Dan has generated and just running away with the game this way.
Oh, here we go. This guy. That's in.
It's in, yep.
Huh. I mean, it looks like it's in. Dan looks like he's ready to untap. That's a way to steal it.
Well, now I'm definitely going over those lands. I mean, I would have gone after them a while ago, but
Slow him down now.
nothing can be gained by Dan having mana.
Yep. And we're going to go after 1.
Forget me, it looks like Dan has found a Delver.
Oh. Gonna start with a Brainstorm. 1, 2, and 3.
The game had gone on so long.
It felt like he sideboarded
Yeah.
him out. And I could certainly see an argument for him doing so. In his matchup against Painter earlier today, he told us he sideboarded them out. He had to win that match to make top 8. There's Delver Secrets. Let the race begin.
This is a really good brainstorm there from Dan, of course. He gets to reveal an instant, probably shuffle away the Batter Skull in the face of the wear tear he knows about.
Mm-hmm. It's not really a game about Batter Skull anymore. Here comes True Name. Jordan gonna go down to 14. And Teitz capitalized. I mean, he found a True Nemesis. That's as much back and forth as there is in this matchup. It's about getting that thing into play. You can actually make it rather simple. And turn over Swords of Plowshare. See if Dan wants to keep this or not. Puts it back on top of his deck, and he will sacrifice going down to 13. So the answer is a resounding no.
He had to suspect he has redundant answers to creatures at this point and ways to protect himself against most of Levy's draws. He just needs to find his own True Name Nemesis or the tools to fight over the wear and tear and get a piece of equipment online.
So a mystery card coming here for Dan in just a moment. Again, we don't have a great look at his hand. But we know that he searched up some equipment a little bit earlier. And now we're certainly in a racing situation. True Name versus Insectile Aberration. Dan, of course, behind, 13 and 19. He's been the one casting Manipulation, pondering, brainstorming. Now he's casting a Stoneforge Mystic. He'll go searching.
And the Stoneforge Mystic is really important because it gives Dan the ability to exhaust the wear tear over multiple turns. If he plays the Batter Skull, that kind of forces the action, and then that clears the room for the Jitte. Or if Dan finds more mana, then he can play Batter Skull with 3 mana up, and then that really forces Levy to find multiple answers or find a piece of equipment of his own to accelerate the clock or whatever the case may be.
It's an attack for 3. Teitz will go down to 16. Jordan with a Ponder. Teitz looking at a Daze, a Wear Tear, and a Snow-Covered Island.
Dan has quite a few cards in his hand.
Yes, he does. It would surprise me if he's not able to convert these into a win, given that we know what's in Levy's hand.
Well, there's still some risky draws. You know, even if Dan still is able to answer the Jitte or the True Name Nemesis somehow, which is very difficult at this stage, one hit from the Jitte may swing the race too much in Levy's favor. As you mentioned, now it's an issue of converting. He has a huge resource edge. He just hasn't quite been able to manifest it yet, mostly due to the wear tear that's been in Levy's hand.
There's a Volk. Pass the turn back. Round and around we go. Much different game here than the first one. Teitz will draw cards, copy a Wasteland. That one not that big. Here's an attack for 3. That's the easy part. Jordan going to go down to 10.
I still feel, you know, over the last couple of turns, Levy really needed to use these Wastelands. He's ahead on the damage race. Dan has a lot of extra cards in his hand. He hasn't been able to leverage them yet. There's nothing to be gained by allowing Dan to have mana at this point.
I'm inclined to agree with you there. Now, I mean, you can make the argument that it's important for Teitz to have mana, but I don't think that's the case, actually.
There's not a whole lot that he can really play around at this point. The Batter Skull's gone, That's really the only incentive for him to keep extra mana, is to be able to cast Batter Skull, maybe fight over dazes and spell pierces and so forth. That's not on the table anymore. Yeah, it looks like he's close to pulling the trigger, and
So in lands he's going to take out.
even forcing Dan to use a fetch land and falling from 10 to 9, that's
Matters.
significant when he's clocking Dan for 3. He has
Yeah.
bolts in his deck, you know?
Yep.
I would have pulled the trigger a while ago, but better late than never.
Down to 9, Jordan's going to go. Now, of course, Jordan can't activate that Stoneforge Mystic just yet. Played that last turn to search for Batter Skull. So he will untap.
And Dan's actually running low on cards in his deck. I don't think it's going to come down to that, but
I don't think so either.
is a tribute to how many cards he's looked at this game.
Yeah, versus how many Levi has looked at it. It's a pretty big difference, but even though Dan's looked at a lot of cards, Teitz has the most important one in play. It's time for a Delver, I believe, for Dan. Yep. Keep right on racing.
This feels days worthy to me. Because you know Dan's going to be using his leftover mana here to activate Stoneforge Mystic. So there's a good chance that Dan wouldn't even pay for a daze in that spot, because he just has to get his equipment online.
This is a lightning bolt. Attack for 3. Jordan goes to 6. He's at a virtual 3 now.
And that's why, you know, cracking the fetch land's significant.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big point that Dan had to take.
Pass the turn back. Gonna activate this. Put a Batter Skull into play. Will we see Wear Tear right now? Yes. Bye-bye Batter Skull. You can tell Dan knew that was gonna happen. Checking for Delver. Nope.
Here's the land, though. Not actually sure he has any lands left to
I think
fetch.
that's the big question. 3 Wastelands have been fired off. So in theory, he's got 7 lands he can find. He's going to check. Yeah, 4 Tundras, 3 Volks. So I think he should have 1 more.
I don't know if Dan thought he was ever going to get to a stage where that was an issue in this tournament, but and it's not necessarily common. I mean, there's some wiggle room here. A lot of Rug Delver lists, for example, only play 6 dual lands, mostly 8 fetches. So not unheard of for decks to run out of lands to go find in these corner case scenarios.
It is rather humorous. GT's coming in. Looks like he's. Huh. Oh. Oh my God, this is so good. This is so good. So, I don't think he has any lands left, so he's casting GT. Gonna float. Gonna pick up a land for days.
Oh,
I think that's what's. I'm not. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, never mind. I thought he was gonna get real
Yeah.
creative there. So he just casts it so he can attack. Okay. He's gonna go down to 3. There's a bolt. Does he even answer?
well, we know, I believe he has a plow in his hand, so he can plow his own creature.
Okay.
Although now, because he has to break a fetch land, assuming that he has a Tundra to go find, he has to target his insectile aberration, because the plow on any of those 1-power creatures no longer allows him to survive. But this does let him get Umezawa's Jite on a creature.
I guess the way that he set this up is that he knew. So he was trying to get the days out of his hand. That's what he's trying to do.
And it's possible he didn't intend on equipping anyway. He wanted to just attack with Stoneforge
Yeah.
Mystic.
Yeah. It's
Dan-
very clear. It's very clear he was setting something up there.
Dan Jordan is a crafty
Yeah.
guy.
By hard casting the GT there instead of just putting it through the Stoneforge, it's very clear
Yeah.
he's trying to set something up. My first inclination was not correct, but it's very clear he was setting something
My
up.
guess is that he had no intent on equipping
Uh-huh.
and just wanted to attack with Stoneforge Mystic, and maybe bleed out the days. And that's exactly what happened.
And now he's going to go equipping. We're coming in for 4. Jordan's is going to put Teitz down to 4. It's 4-2.
And this is still lethal. You know, he can gain 2 life here, survive the True Name Nemesis hit, and come across for lethal on the way back.
You can see Levi's hand right now. It's an island, a strand, and a daze.
Do not be deceived by Dan Jordan's absence from Magic.
No.
This guy is still a monster.
In for 3. Jordan says, I'm going to gain 2. I'll go to 1.
Now he doesn't even have to use the counter. He can just send for lethal and see if Levi has anything to say about it.
Even at 11:26 on July 6th, and 1 is not none. And that's exactly what Levi Teitz is at. Dan Jordan wins this match.
A monster.
He is your Legacy Open champion here in Worcester.
Yeah, that was just... there's not a lot to say about that. There's a lot of things to go back and watch, a lot of compelling plays, but Dan just navigated that game extremely well, and not surprising to see this guy walk away from the trophy. Doesn't play Magic very much, clearly just borrowed the deck from a buddy, one of those kind of scenarios, but at the end, stands alone.
That was a beautifully played game.
That was great. That was great Magic.
That was really something.
Sculpted a great game plan. Levi was able to find a True Name Nemesis. Basically, the last turn it had the opportunity to influence the game significantly, and Dan was still able to battle back. And you can tell Dan's,